Okay, Sanjay Nayak now joins us, Managing Director and CEO with Tejas Networks. Sanjay, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Sanjay, while markets year-on-year comparison, if we do, the numbers look very, very different and classy. Let's understand quarter-on-quarter, because we're speaking to you after a while. A lot has changed for your company, for your business, and for the world in the pandemic crisis. The growth what we've seen in the quarter gone by, is this largely because of business normalizing and you gaining more market share and mind share because of COVID and implementation of network technologies? Because why has growth been so strong for the quarter gone by?
So first of all, we actually had not such a strong year last year. So actually the base of last year was not a big base for us. So in that sense, the numbers look healthier and so on. But if I even look at the absolute numbers and what's happening in our business, at a macro level, what is happening is that with post-COVID especially, there's a lot of demand for broadband connections on wireline, which is on fiber, because that's how you could get high-speed connectivity, both in India and around the world. And that's really where our FTTX products, the fiber to the home products, are really gaining a lot of traction. So that's one point. The second point is that as the traffic from the edge of the network, which is people's homes, people's mobile phones, increases, you need higher capacity networks in the cities and in the country. So the backbone networks, if you were to call it, also need upgradation. So those two are the macro factors in our industry which are helping us. In terms of more specific to our business, India last year was very, very bad for us. We declined 80%, which basically was because of the overhang of AGR issues on the private sector, and the government spending almost didn't happen. So we were pretty much hurt by that. So while I would say we have started to see a little bit of a pickup in the first half, I would still say it was slow because Q1 was almost shut down around the world, and Q2 started to open up. At a macro level, I feel that the business dynamics are strong. Our execution is improving, as you saw in terms of the different financial parameters. So going forward, we expect that we will continue to see improvement in all aspects of financials, both in India and outside.
Sanjay, one concern which markets have and which you also alluded to are your receivables. When will the money come from BSNL? It's a government company. What is taking so long? And what is the fear? The other fear is that even though it's a government company, could it be a write-off also?
Okay. So first of all, let me clarify two things. Number one, there's definitely no possibility of a write-off, because this money that is expected from BSNL for us is not a BSNL project. It is the BharatNet project, which was executed by BSNL. And BharatNet project is backed by 50,000 crores of USO, the Universal Service Obligation money, which basically comes out of the AGR, which is sitting with the government of India. So there is no chance of a default unless you think of a government entity from that angle. Secondly, why has the money not come to us? It's actually very unfortunate that every country in the world is helping their own domestic suppliers. We are having to struggle to get our money from a government customer, which is BSNL. But unfortunately, because of their own financial crisis, they were in the situation that they were. Their health is improving. They've been able to raise some money from the markets. We've also been assured by the government that all MSMEs, and especially the domestic vendors like ourselves, should be supported and their money should be cleared. So I'm hoping, based on the commitments and assurances we have from Government of India, that we should be able to get the money in this financial year for sure, hopefully earlier.
Okay. 5G implementation is real, but it is still a distance away. How will this benefit you?
So, as you rightly said, some countries in the world have started to implement 5G. Realistically, in India, I think calendar 22 is when 5G will start, and it will take at least 4 to 5 years before the implementations really happen in a full way. And the amount of money to be spent in 5G is anywhere between $10 to $20 billion to build pan-India 5G network. So it's a very large network. So 5G will have basically three elements where we will have a play. Number one, the backhaul or the backbone network of 5G will be on fiber, because that is going to be a high capacity network, and that is our sweet spot. So I think we, being a premier company from India, and now we are part of the major part of all the network operators. So if you look at any private operator, government operator, we have a role into play there. So the optical or the wireline part of 5G, we have state-of-the-art products. We've been investing in R&D continuously. We are among the top 3 R&D spenders in the country today as a percentage of listed companies. And we will have a big role to play in the wireline infrastructure. So that's part one. The second part of 5G will be the radio network, or what we loosely call base stations. But the base stations of 5G will look slightly different than the base stations of 4G. It requires a whole bunch of new technology. We've also been investing in the wireless technology, and we will
problem with the network here. Well, sometimes strange things happen when you're talking to a company which is in the business of network. Look what's happened, the network's gone down. So we'll try and we'll get back Sanjay and find out that what is the ultimate solution to keep the network going. They just had a volatile ride. I mean, they were in the business of implementing network solutions, but given that the dependence on the BSNL and okay, Sanjay, what a coincidence. We are talking about strength in network, and here we go in middle of the interview, the network which we had you on, that also broke.
That is really what I'm saying, is there's a lot more capacity upgradation which needs to happen even to have a good 4G network. 5G clearly will require a lot more optical backbone, a much more stronger, robust backbone, and which is where we come into the picture. And one more thing I must tell you, since you talked about 5G, there's a whole new geopolitical set of equations happening around the world, including in India, where there's a lot more concerns around security, self-reliance, and we, again, being the leading equipment provider, technology provider, having done this for 20 years, have the experience to partner with all the people within India and outside who want to build a neutral network, or a network which is, sans security concerns and so on. So I think that's another tailwind which we are seeing internationally for our business going forward.
Yeah, certainly a lot needs to be done on that front. Sanjay, I wanted to get in your take as to what the outlook is on some of the new applications, the adoption of the FTTX products selected by the tier 1 operators as well.
So it's actually quite exciting. So if you think about our own homes, 6 months back, many of us were using dongles or some kind of a broadband connection. But today, with the amount of data we all consume, we all need probably 100 Mbps or 300 or 500 or a gigabit connection at home. So that's the fiber to the home thing which we are talking about. So we actually developed these products about 4 years back, and we deployed in mass scale in BharatNet. So around 75% of BharatNet runs on Tejas. But over the last 3 years, we have really invested and upgraded the product to make it absolutely world-class. And that is where we got selected by all the tier 1 operators in the country. Now, the outlook wise, if you see, India as a country has, give and take about 5 to 6 million fiber to the home connections of any decent kind. And if you see the TRAI report, that number is supposed to go to 100 million over the next 3 to 4 years. We are talking of a massive scale increase of fiber to the home infrastructure. And once that happens, and since we are already selected as a part of all these major networks, we should be able to get a decent market share. So I would say that could be a very strong growth driver, not just in India, but even internationally, because outside of China, the fiber to the home infrastructure around the world is now picking up pace, especially post-COVID. And with the geopolitical situations, we seem to have a very good sweet spot where state-of-the-art products selected by the most competitive operators in India, and now, going global. So that's the way we look at the FTTX application for our products.
Yeah, speaking of the international business as well, there has been strong traction in the likes of Africa, Southeast Asia as well. What is the outlook then on your international business, and how much is it as a component of your total revenue pie?
So for the first half, international was around 40% of the total. And we hope that by the time we finish the year, we should be at a similar level as well. Of course, we should be growing international growth continually. The reason for the international growth, again, is very interesting. So if you see Africa and Southeast Asia, these are what I would call India-like markets, which have very similar, dynamics in terms of the cost and, needs, robustness of networks, etc. And those are the markets where we started our international presence. We've been operating in those markets for now 3-4 years, and it takes a little bit of time to establish a brand because the deep tech products from India haven't been sold before Tejas, actually, in that sense. So we have built up the brand, we have now lots of customers, and now we are really in the expansion mode in these two markets. I think that these will continue to give us a long growth thing. We have invested in sales and local people. We have got a lot of reference customers. North America, which is US and Mexico, has been slow. We've been trying to enter US for the last couple of years. Not had as much success as we would like. Mexico is doing quite well. Mexico is another very large market like India, and we're doing extremely well over there. Of late, Europe, especially because of the geopolitical situation, is something which we're going to start investing in sales. So I would say broadly, our medium-term goal is that international should be more than 50% of our business. It's a very large market opportunity that we operate in the world. It's around $8 or $9 billion per year of addressable market that we have for our products. So internationally, if you're able to get in, the stickiness in our business is very high. So once you get selected by a customer, as he keeps expanding his network, we continue to get business. So I'm very optimistic about our international growth. It takes a little bit of time, one, because of Tejas itself, and secondly, because of India, because from India, we haven't had too many success stories of deep technology products being exported to the world. And in one sense, being a pioneer, we of course have to face a little bit more challenges than in IT services, for example, which is a well-established model for Indians going abroad.
Okay, thanks very much for joining in, Sanjay, and walking us through, how things have been shaping up at the company as well as what your plans are going forward.
Thank
That's
you.
Tejas
Nice talking.
Networks for you, in focus, in trade.